Hello. I'd like to talk about something that is really important to me, and I think all of us have had to deal with from the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is surrounding the aspect of connecting with others through Zoom or even these videos. These conversations that we've had to have remotely have taken away one of the critical components of us going and making connections on a human level by being actually present with one another in a same room, sharing the energy and the oxytocin that comes through. And over the next two episodes, I'd like to go and talk about two specific aspects that are intertwined, but really go and talk about somewhat different things. This first episode, I'd like to get in the aspect of how connecting over Zoom, or any time for that matter, requires us to respect how we go and engage our brain and our mind to be able to go and actively love and serve and engage in fun and joy with individuals in our conversations. Now, as you know, most of the time our brain works on autopilot. There's certain things that it does that it knows how to do, and it's just a machine, and we don't have to worry about it. From the autonomic functions of breathing and our heart beating to sometimes even just choosing what you eat for breakfast because you take that decision out of the creative process. There's so many things that we just do. All the decisions, the thousands of decisions every day, are done without us really even knowing that they're happening. And we actually do that a lot at work and in our relationships because so many things are similar and familiar that our brain just goes and does the same things the same way and expects the same results. The brain does this to be able to essentially conserve energy. Why waste the time on exerting more energy on something that it already knows what's going to happen and it can just go and skate through? Seems logical, right? However, when we're talking about relationships with different people and figuring out how we can love them more, how we can serve them to help them become the best people that they can be, to respect their point of view, their experience of experiences, to be able to communicate with them on their frequency, we need to actively engage our brain and our other faculties to be able to go and expend the energy necessary to be able to go and make good things happen, to be able to move our social connections and therefore our programs and our projects and our strategies forward. Now, there's someone that I've met a long time ago, haven't seen him in a while, Luis Moreno, who is here in the Twin Cities, one of the top networkers in town, and has done some great things around mindfulness and moving from an autopilot feature to expending the necessary energy to be mindful of what's going on. And I'm going to put a link to his video. It's a little 6.5-minute snippet that he went and did for another friend of mine, Steve Moss of Executive Springboard, to be able to go and help Steve's coaches understand this concept of migrating from autopilot to mindfulness. It's really kind of an interesting 6.5-minute video. I think you'll really like it. But the essence is that instead of being lazy and just going through the motions, we actually take the time to respect and see things differently, to actually engage in the situation at hand, to try and find something different that will be able to go and create a more impactful result, whether that be in terms of connections to people, whether it be how to serve customers and the mission, what have you. There are times where we need to actually tell our brain that it needs to get to work. And as I was watching Luis talk, I thought about the processes that I try and use on a regular basis to be able to go and step out from myself, from my baggage, from my particular frequency, to be able to go and respect the viewpoint of the individual or individuals that are in the room with me that I'm communicating with, to be able to go and understand more impactfully where they're coming from, and then be an active participant to be able to go and weave through and find the truth. I've done this a lot with my basketball coaching. And quite honestly, at the end of last season, because I was doing that on such a regular basis with such intensity for all of the 10 players that I coached, I actually got a little burned out after 6 years in a row of doing this coaching. And now I'm doing some things to be able to go and help coaches coach more impactfully. So it's not an easy thing to be able to go and practice as a central core of what you do. Does expend a lot of emotional energy, but the impact that you can have as a leader is so overwhelming that to not do it kind of is sacrilege. If you are truly engaged in helping others become the best that they can be, to help the organization you work for become the best that it can be, you need to go and make certain that you just don't go through the motions, that you don't just mail it in and go through the day the same way that you went through yesterday and last week and last year, because things always change. And when those individuals need you to be more present, to be more mindful, if you're not there with them, those bonds of trust get eroded. They go by the wayside. So if you find yourself kind of going through the motions, whether intentionally or unintentionally, what are some of the things that you can do to become more mindful, less on autopilot in your interactions with people? First of all, try and respect. As Luis has it in the videos, try some new and different ways. Connect differently. Try some different things. Experiment. Speak intentionally when you're with those people. Sometimes when you're on autopilot, it just goes and you go and spit out things that may or may not be appropriate. So actually go and click on the engine that goes and says, okay, I'm going to speak intelligently and intentionally. And in order to do that, you need to listen actively. Be open to new possibilities. There's a variety of different things that you can do to become more mindful in your interactions. And I'm certain that as you go through and practice this respecting of autopilot and figuring out how you can go and love and serve more impactfully to create a more fun and joyful environment, you will see the benefits going on where maybe you can be on autopilot a little bit more because all the others are going and filling in different roles, that you're not always having to be the center of attention, the focal point of where decisions are made. The next episode, I'm going to get into a wonderful conversation that I had with another executive coach, Brad Lance. We talked about connecting over Zoom and how to be able to go and make some things happen. As he was talking about those things, it really struck in my head some things that I think I try and do that I'd love to be able to share with you. Thanks for the time. Please leave a review or subscribe so you can go and get these video blogs every time that I go and post them. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and watch. Cheers.